You're listening to Sports and More with Chris and Tom.
Welcome back. This is the guys with the faces for radio and the voices for a silent movie.
This is Sports and More with Chris and Tom. I am Chris.
And I am Tom, and I am not yelling into the microphone tonight. So this is probably taking most of you by surprise. But we are back after a week off. We were down in Branson, Missouri, celebrating a buddy of ours, Kyle Waldeck, who's been on the show. He's with Ski the Midwest. We call him Waldeck, the Waldeck, Mr. Waldeck, Master Waldeck, all of the above, because he has two personalities. When he has the beard, he's Waldeck. When he shaves the beard, he is Kyle. So
True.
It was a great weekend hanging out, just doing all sorts of fun guy stuff with him before he gets married next weekend.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic. I'm sorry we didn't have two of the groomsmen there, Alec and Serge. Sorry guys, you couldn't make it, but when you have to plan everything within a 3-month window, we're kind of screwed on time there. So sorry guys.
Time is the biggest factor, but we're gonna have a great time at the wedding, and it is going to be a weekend to remember. And speaking of weekends to remember, this past weekend, Eastern Washington's quarterback Eric Barriere quarterbacked his derriere off and had over 600 yards passing on 7 touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown, setting at least a school record. And I don't believe that's an NCAA record, but it's got to be dang close.
That's close.
600 yards passing and 7 touchdown passes, 1 rushing touchdown. So 8 all in all is what he produced with his arms and legs. And that reminds me of a buddy of ours from college, Michael Bates at Illinois College, where he set a school record. I believe it would have been your guys' senior year,
probably,
or maybe junior year, where he had 7 passing touchdowns himself in a game. 8 if you include the pick 6 he threw. So.
Yeah. Those happen every now and again on Michael Bates' game.
It happens, but that's the first thing that I thought of is 7 touchdowns. I know a guy who's done that in college, and so that's quite a feat to do that at the Division I level. Yeah, Eastern Washington, you're out in the strongest conference, but still to do that against anybody, that you're on point. That means you are hitting those dime passes down the field. I mean, that 600 yards passing, he's probably got multiple, 30, 40 plus yard passes in that kind of game. So hats off to him, man. That's something he is not going to soon forget, and neither will we.
Oh, absolutely. That's a heck of a ball game. I don't know what high school team they're playing against in that game, but hey, it's an impressive feat no matter who you're playing against, because sometimes if you're off, you're off. And he was certainly red hot that game. So congratulations to Mr. Barriere was his name?
Eric Barriere. It's Barriere. It's
Barriere.
A lot of R's, a lot of E's. Barriere. So it sounds French, and he certainly French fried that defense.
Oh, absolutely! Just made him a good old McDonald's fry right there. Good.
There you go.
There you go. But after that said, we got to get into some MLB news. The Cubs finally have a GM on Thursday, October 14th. It was leaked that the Cubs have finally hired a GM, and that the person rumored to take the job was Carter Hawkins, the Cleveland Indians assistant GM, soon to become the Cleveland Guardians, but they're still the Indians as of this moment. And the Cubs have been without a GM since November 17th, 2020, when Theo Epstein resigned and Jed Hoyer was promoted to president of baseball operations. So it's been a minute since we've had a GM. And then on Friday, the 15th, Hoyer made official that they were going to announce Carter Hawkins as the GM. And today, he had his introductory press conference. So some background for you guys for Carter Hawkins. He's 37 years old with 14 seasons with the Cleveland Indians. So he graduated college and started working with the Cleveland Indians. How do you get that job? I don't know, but I would like to have known about that coming out of college. FYI.
That's like Pete from Moneyball.
Yeah, absolutely. He just graduated college. Oh, hey, you're going to work for the
straight out of college, going working in front office there. I mean that he's seems like he's just worked his way up.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the last 5 years as the assistant GM for the team, he oversaw the Indians player development department. In 2015, he was the director of player development. In 2010, he was the assistant director of player development. So, it's been about 5 years in each position before he gets moved up. And then 2009, he's a professional scout. And then in 2008, probably as his internship, served as advanced scouting intern. So he has been with the organization from 2008 to current, and that's a heck of a resume. A lot of scouting. So hopefully that helps out the Cubs, because you know what we have trouble with, Thompson? Scouting those pitchers in the minor leagues, and it's just a nightmare for us.
It certainly is, and so we need someone with that experienced eye to really pick up on um, pitching staff that upgrades that we don't currently have, and given kind of the history that we've seen in Cleveland the past
Yeah.
several years, they have had very solid pitching staffs, and so I think that this is one of those. He's one of those guys that he has his niche, he has his area that he really likes to focus in on, and thankfully for us, it's pitching, because right now, in recent time, the Cubs have had success at the plate. I mean, they've
Typically, yeah.
had guys like Bryant and Rizzo and Baez and the like that have been very successful at the plate. They've been the big bats, if you will,
Even Frank the
and
Tank
Gold Glovers.
recently.
Yeah, but we have not actually put together the solid pitching core that teams like Cleveland have consistently maintained. And yeah, they're not as they haven't been as high producing at the plate and in other areas. But one thing that has been consistent for them is they always have solid pitching. They don't have any extremely weak links like a lot of teams might. And so to bring in a guy who not only has that pitching mindset, but also has the scouting experience, he now knows how to marry the two together and really knows what to look for, so that we can get some future, some prospects to be the future of the program um, for the pitching staff in Chicago.
Oh, absolutely, because that's our biggest problem. Because Jed Hoyer, Theo Epson, they can get position players all day long. I mean, we have Miguel Amaya as a catcher who's like, what, 18, 19 years old, who's going to go for
Mm-hmm.
Contreras in about 3, 4 seasons when Contreras wants big money. And
Mm-hmm.
they say, scoot on out of here. We'll take the young guy who we can hold on to for another 6 seasons. I mean, sorry, Cubs fans, but that's what's going to happen with Miguel Amaya. I mean,
It's what already has happened with the big names that we just saw leave.
we got Brendan Davis, who's going to be a big star next season. I mean,
Yeah.
Patrick Wisdom at 30 years old led the rookies in home
Oh, yeah.
runs. I mean, so the Cubs can find hitting without a problem. It's the pitching staff, which was awful, as it was horrible and awful at the same exact time. It was it was a nightmare.
Watch
to
how
watch.
you say that, man.
Yeah, I know you gotta be careful with that one, but it's horrible and awful at the same exact time, and it was. Hopefully, he can turn that around for us, because it's been a problem for the last, I don't know, 10 years since Theo Epstein took over the team. It's been a problem.
Yeah, I'd say so. Just it hasn't seemed like as big of a priority to really fill in the gaps in the pitching. It's pitching has been really taking on the approach of get one, maybe two bigger names, and then fill in with the top tier farm system guys, or maybe trade for a mid level guy from another team. And so, I mean, we haven't really invested the same kind of money as we have position players, but it's equally as important, if not more. I mean, we've clearly seen that pitching has dropped down in Chicago for a couple of years now, at least. I'd say probably since 2016,
Yep.
we haven't seen the same pitching success as we did. In 2015, 2016 was phenomenal. And it's really kind of dropped off since then. And I think part of that does have to do with just the value placed on it by the administrative staff. I mean, the president of baseball ops and the GM have not wanted to put that kind of money into pitching, because they have been well, they should have been investing it into the guys that we saw leave earlier this season.
Yep.
And as unfortunate as it was that they did, what is even more unfortunate is that the money that could have been spent to keep at least one of them was not invested into something else throughout the team. And so now I think we've got an individual in Carter Hawkins who actually values that and will be the guy to make the change and go out and actually get someone to fulfill the needs that we have.
Yeah, hopefully he can turn that around rather quickly, like Theo and Jed did, where the hitting was turned
Right.
around within a couple of seasons. It looked much better, so hopefully he can do that. It might be a rough couple of years, Cubs fans, but we will hopefully be there in due time. But we had to get into the NFL standings updates, which is brutal because it only changes like once a week, but also that one game changes a whole heck of a lot every week. And so we'll start off in the
Mm-hmm.
NFC North, which tragically um, as expected, the Bears lost to the evil green yellow team as only they can. And Aaron Rodgers yelling to the fans that he owns us, which he
Oh,
does. I mean, I heard that. I was like, yeah, you do, but we don't need to yell it like
I
that to
own
us.
you. I own you all my life. I effing own you.
Yeah, yeah,
That's what he
yeah.
said.
He pretty much, and he does. He's what 21-5 against the Bears. It's ridiculous. He has single-handedly turned around the rivalry record where the Bears were winning the rivalry. Now it's easily Green Bay's favor. But Green Bay
Mm-hmm.
owns a 2-game lead over the Bears and Vikings, with the Detroit Lions at 0-6, looking for the imperfect season at 0-17. In the NFC South, you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in first place with a game and a half lead over the Saints. Saints, I think, are on a bye week, so it looks like it's good. So I think they'll stay
Yeah.
put. And in the NFC East, the Cowboys look like an actual playoff team. Shocker to both of us that they look like a playoff team. They're up 3 games on the Washington football team. So the Cowboys are a legitimate playoff team, and then the rest of the NFC East is what we thought they were. In the NFC West, which is no longer the NFC best, because unfortunately you have the Cardinals and Rams playing as we expected. Very good football. Cardinals 6-0, better than what we thought they would be, but very good football. The
Mm-hmm.
Rams, what we thought they would be, 5-1, and then the Seahawks and Niners, who just look like mediocre garbage at this point. To be frank with you guys, it doesn't help that Russell Wilson's out for the Seahawks, but still they were not playing great with him in the lap to begin with. In the AFC North, you have the Ravens, who have taken back first place at 5-1 with a game lead over the Cincinnati Bengals, who are 4-2. Let me repeat: the Bengals are 4-2. They have a game lead over the Steelers and the Browns. The Browns have fallen off the face of the planet after whipping the Bears took us. So the Browns have come back to earth. And in the AFC South, the Titans are playing the Bills tonight, Monday Night Football. So I expect the Titans to go to 3-3. So they will be at 500, leading the worst division in football. Those are my expectations. We'll probably find out I was dead wrong after this show's over with. So we take it with
Probably, but I mean, we'll find out.
We'll find out. I mean, because they're facing the Bills, and who are the top of the AFC East with a 2.5 game lead over the Patriots at 4-1. The Bills, Patriots 2-4. So let's just say the Bills are probably going to win the AFC East, and then the rest of the division just sucks. In the AFC West, you have the Chargers in first place, tied with the Raiders at 4-2, with a game lead over the Broncos and the Chiefs, who are still in dead last in that division. Despite winning last week, they are still at 3-3 in last place. And those are your standings for you folks, and they are at the bottom of the screen in your ticker. Yeah, that's how I'm trying for you.
Right where I can totally see them.
Yeah, right where I can totally see them.
Just I can't even find my finger. There we
Yeah.
go. Well, yeah, Chiefs certainly not where we
No.
expected them to be, but just a quick update. Bills are currently leading 13-7 in the second quarter
Right.
as of the recording of this show.
All right, so good game. Good game.
I mean, it's close, but it's still early.
Yeah.
So, anyway, appreciate the standings update as always, and as much as it hurts to see that evil green and yellow team on top of the division, it's certainly
Expected.
not unexpected.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as we continue forward, we are going to give a quick MLB playoffs update, starting with the ALCS with the 4th seeded Boston Red Sox against the number 2 seeded Houston Asterix. The series is currently tied at 1-1.
I think Game 3 is happening
The
tonight.
Reds, right? And well, let me check it out real quick. Let me see. Oh, well, looks like the Red Sox have a good chance of winning this one. They're currently up 6-0,
Oh,
6-0 in the bottom of the third.
okay, yeah. Red Sox have a 2-1 lead in all likelihood, people. So continue on, Master Thompson.
I appreciate it. So, I mean, unless someone breaks out the trash can, I think the Red Sox have a good chance at
Or
winning the
the
night.
buzzer.
Reds, what's that?
Or the buzzer.
Well, the buzzer, yeah. I think my favorite part, quick sidebar about that whole thing was like the guys that brought the inflatable trash cans to the games early on in the season
Yeah.
and they got confiscated, just like worth it.
Absolutely
Worth
worth
it.
it.
But anyway, um, diving more into Red Sox asterisks, the Red Sox defeated the Yankees 6-2 in the AL wildcard game and then defeated the Rays 3-1 in the ALDS. The asterisks, by all objective standards, cakewalked through the White Sox in the ALDS, just simply by the run
Oh
differential
yeah.
during the series. I think that the last game was 10-1, 10-0, something
Something
like
like
that.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
So um, the Sox did not come prepared for
No.
that series. Um, I know I have family members who are upset about that one, but it is what it is. And all we can hope for now is that the Red Sox don't let Houston go any farther.
Correct.
But now for the NLCS, we've got the number 4 seeded Dodgers, and who are only the number 4 seed of
The Giants.
because of the Giants um, having just one game better and being the 2 top teams in the whole MLB.
Yep.
So that we got a situation in the league, but have to take a wild card. Anyway, playing the number 3 seeded Atlanta Braves, Dodgers to get to this point in the NLCS defeated the Cardinals of St. Louis. Thank goodness, 3-1 in the or 3-1, excuse me, in the NL wild card game, and then defeated the Giants in a thrilling 5-game NLDS series. And boy, that was just. I mean, I like to see those 2 teams facing off. Just because it's the 2 best teams, not only in the NL but in the whole league, and man, it was just fun to see the back and forth there. The Braves beat the Brewers in the NLDS, and despite it being 3-1, it was closer than you would think. But well fought series. Not upset about the Braves going
No.
forward. Obviously, I mean, I don't mind the Brewers when they're not playing the Cubs, but if no one from the NL Central can make it, then we look just as bad. So
Exactly.
we'll,
Exactly.
we'll take that as a tiny win, 1% of a win.
Yeah.
So with all that being said, now that was our update on the NLCS, the ALCS. So, Chris, who do you think is going to come home as champions of the AL and the NL? Who are we seeing in the World Series? And then we also, after you and I talk, why don't you go ahead then and give our third-party expert who has provided us a prediction as well.
Absolutely. So in the AL, I was going to say asterisks going into this, but after hearing the Red Sox take a nice big lead in Game 3, I'm kind of leaning towards Red Sox, but I'm still going to stick with the asterisks. I think that's a team that can just blow you out in any given game as they did to the White Sox, even though they had assistance because the Cubs sent over a spy named Craig Kimbrell, who absolutely fell apart down the stretch, and it was just long runs like no tomorrow. So the Cubs assisted in the White Sox demise. Sorry, White Sox fans, we had to do it to you because we can't have the White Sox winning a World Series. Sorry, not sorry, but that we had to send you guys Kimbrell. So I'm thinking it's going to be the Asterix, just because that's a team that could. Yes, they can lose 10-6, but they can also win 12-0. So it's either going to be a blowout one way or the other, and I think they might beat the Red Sox. It's going to be tight, though. And the NLCS, come on, man, it's the Dodgers. I mean, my thought was Dodgers-Giants, that winner will go on to the World Series. I'm going to stick by that. I thought it was going to be the Giants, in all honesty, but I'll stick to the Dodgers as the teams will go on, because I said Giants in the World Series, but if the Dodgers beat them, I'll take the Dodgers. It's just how I feel. Both teams are stacked and loaded and should do well.
Right, and that was kind of my stance from the beginning too. Is those are the two best teams in baseball for a reason, and whoever doesn't end or do whoever ends up winning that matchup very easily could go on to the World Series. So in the NL, I'm taking the Dodgers as well. I am taking the Red Sox because I mean everything you said is true about how the Asterisks can either win by a lot or lose by a lot, and so they are hot and cold. But it seems tonight that they are cold and they're not handling it well early on. And so it does not appear that they are maintaining that hot streak that they had really against the White Sox. So I think Boston is much more solid all the way through in its lineup and in its pitching rotation than Chicago was.
Yep.
And by that, by that standard, I'm going to go with the Red Sox. Just Houston is playing a very different team than they did when they played Chicago, and so I don't think that those high scoring games in their favor are going to last much longer.
All right, fair call, fair call. I mean, the Dodgers, they do have Max Scherzer coming on the bullpen. When you can throw Mad Max out of the bullpen, you have something else. You don't have a pitching staff. You have a pitching, I don't know what you call it. It's a pitching farm.
I don't even know.
I,
I'm at a loss.
I'm at a loss. Max Scherzer is your relief pitcher. Think about that, people. Max Scherzer comes out of the bullpen.
That is just, I mean, that's the kind of guy you want in anywhere, and he can do it anywhere. And so, having him come, I mean, he brings energy too. It's not just like he's a damn good pitcher. I mean, he gets on the bump, the whole dynamic of the game changes.
He does not come out there with 95% energy. He comes out there with 195% energy. That's how he comes out there. He comes out ready to rock and roll. And so I always respect him.
His celebration interviews are just hysterical too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Shirtless drunk on national TV. Like what else do you expect from him?
No, nothing else. So, like Tom alluded to, we have a third party, the Aaron Jawa Schneider, our baseball expert. He reached out to me and said, "Hey, I know I'm late getting to you guys about your predictions for the MLB, but after the ALDS and NLDS, I'm going with Asterix Dodgers. Unfortunately, with the Asterix, he said Dodgers was who we thought would come out after seeing the Giants-Dodgers series go to 5 games. So he made that prediction before Game 5 of that game, and he's been right. So I think he'll be right on this one, but you never know the Asterix. They could go ice cold and get blown out by the Red Sox because if their bats are hot, they will win. If their bats are cold, they will lose quite easily. And it's just going to be a different series than what we expect out of the NLDS. NLCS,
right,
sorry.
and that's one thing that I yeah, right. And that's one thing that I love about baseball is, in football, basketball, whatever, someone goes up 30 points, whatever, you can pretty much play it safe and run the clock out. Baseball, you go up 6 runs, you still got to, and in the third, you still got to play 6 innings. Yep. You can't just run it out. You can't just coast. And so, I mean, yeah, tonight, I mean, the Red Sox are up 6-0 right now, but that could change with, a few swings of the bat. It could all happen in 1 inning. So, this is going to be a very interesting series going forward.
Absolutely. And so with those key updates about the NFL and the MLB playoffs, the MLB playoffs in the baseball, we're going to head over to the big topic of the NFL that has been going on for the last week or so. We're going to talk about John Gruden resigning as the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. So I'll give you guys some background into this, and it was a grueling few days for the NFL as it appears that the NFL was slow rolling emails that were sent to former president of the Washington Redskins. Yes, they were the Redskins at the time. People, they were not the football team at the time. Bruce Allen, where John Gruden had to resign after all the emails that were leaked. It was leaked via the New York Times. So someone, I'm not saying the NFL leaked it to the New York Times. I'm just saying it seems that way that they did that. that Gruden said many anti-gay and derogatory statements about Michael Sam, who the Rams drafted in the 7th round of 2014, and about NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, which is why people think it was the NFL that leaked it, because he said a lot of bad things about Roger Goodell at the time.
All right, can I just stop you right there?
Go ahead.
What individual in and out of the league hasn't talked crap about Roger Goodell?
That's my question too.
No. Like if you're gonna start, ruining coaches and players' careers or getting them fired over talking about the commissioner, might as well get rid of the whole entire freaking league.
Yeah.
Because everybody in the league is talking crap about Roger Goodell and the way that he mismanages the entire league.
Oh, absolutely.
So, and I'm not going to get into. This is not a discussion about Roger Goodell entirely in this topic, but I'm like, are we really going to start, firing people for making comments about their boss?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Their boss is boss, really. I mean, that's what it is. It's not even. I mean, it's your president of the organization who is run by the board of the organization who is commissioned by the NFL.
Yeah.
Like that. That's what that is. So I mean, you and I talk about Roger Goodell, and we're not getting fired.
Hey, he does not own us, and so we're gonna say what we want about Fidel Goodell. So yeah, so that's how I like your first.
Anyway, continue. That was I'm just like that was the one that I didn't like, man. All right. Talking about players, whatever. I can see how you can go down the rabbit hole with that, but if you're really going to make one of the reasons for, or one of the things that is released about Roger Goodell, then you're going to have to get emails from everybody in the league.
Oh yeah, and so it was also part of this leak was that he said D. Maurice Smith had rubber lips, which Smith and our journalistic betters in the media have said is clearly a racist term. Gruden alleges that he used the term for someone who is caught in a lie or constantly lies. I'll be honest with you, going to a school in Melrose Park, I did not hear the term rubber lips ever in my life, so I'm not sure if that is a racist term or not. But I have never.
It is. I have never heard it used as a derogatory term, a racist term. What it is, and the way that I have heard it, is someone who is a chatterbox, doesn't shut up, and can get themselves into trouble because of how much they talk.
Sounds like
basically rubber lips is they have no control over their mouth. They keep running their mouth. And I mean, in the case that Gruden is talking about, it's someone who can also talk themselves into and out of lies. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And so that's the sense that Gruden was using the term in. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. And of course, that's coming from two white guys on the internet. But I mean, it's not. I mean, what are you gonna? If this was about any other player, this wouldn't have been an issue. This wouldn't have been brought up. They're stretching really far to try to make this particular statement an issue.
Right. So I thought, okay,
in my opinion,
it's a tight one. I've never heard that, so I'm not sure how that goes. I'm not going to claim to know how that goes. So I'm going to trust with you and that that you've heard that way. I don't know if anyone else is there another way. So I'm like sitting the title. I'm not sure on that one. Like, okay, I see how that can go one way, but I also can see how he saw it as another term. That happens all the time in life that people see things differently.
All right. Think of this. I'm not trying to convince you one way or the other. The line from The Sandlot, where Babe Ruth is talking to Benny the Jet, and he says, and he's talking about how am I going to get over and get the ball? He says, "You're the one with the rubber legs. Go get it."
Yep.
Fast moving legs, quick pace.
Yep.
Same applies to the lips. I mean, he's talking about guys who are constantly talking and never stop moving their mouths. It's the same thing with Benny the Jet. He was the fastest one in that movie, and that's what they were talking about. That's where phrases like rubber legs, rubber arms, rubber lips come from. Is someone that can stretch themselves into and out of situations.
Okay, I gotcha. And for context, this was around the time of the NFL lockout in 2011. So it was a time where everyone was just going back and forth. So we don't know what else was going on. And also there were some emails that he said that were misogynistic towards female referees. So I've not seen those emails. I've just heard that they were quite bad. Like, okay, I get it. You shouldn't go that way. And they're referees. I mean,
Right.
effort.
No, I agree with that
I
100%.
mean, referees
You
are
you
bad
don't
at their
go there.
jobs. You call them up for being bad at their jobs. We don't need to go anywhere like to call out someone for their race, skin color, ethnicity, sex, whatever. Just say they're just bad at their jobs. If that's all he was saying, or if he was saying something else, he probably did cross the line in those emails, is my guess.
Right, and like you said, it's one thing to just complain about, oh, there was a bad called game, something like that, whatever. But to make comments about, specifically because they were the female refs or anything negative and sexist in that regard, then yeah, that is crossing a line. And again, we're not claiming one way or another that these the intent, but this is what was found in the emails
Yeah.
and how it was presented. So that's what we're doing tonight, is we are presenting forth how this was presented in the article that was released based on what was leaked in the emails. And so we're not making decisions. Yeah, I know I was pretty adamant about the rubber lips thing just because I don't like it when things are stretched beyond when uh, you know, the limits of what should be considered and not considered offensive. Um, I mean, take half the phrases used in the southern states, and you're going to end
Yeah.
up, um, you know, censoring an entire section of the country. But what we're doing here tonight is um, showing what we have found that was actually discovered in the emails that were coursed through. And so, one of those things being the terms toward Michael Sam, the terms toward DeMaurice Smith, whether they were out of context or what, and then these terms toward the female refs, among other things. But that's what we're presenting forth. Is we're presenting forth what was found, and not necessarily saying that it was or was not fact or what the intent was or was not. This is just what was found.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, these were when I think, ironically, I like to point this out. This is when he was with the company we like to call MSESPN. He was doing Monday Night Football for them. This was like 10 years ago. These emails were found, so these were not recent emails. So I always like to point out these weren't recent. So maybe his opinions change over time, but these are things he has said, which does not look good when they're like, oh gosh. I mean, we've all said things at a point in time which are not good, but if these are said habitually over many years, it could just be this is his personality, which is not a good thing, and you probably don't want that in your league. But if this was just a snapshot instance, maybe it's just he was having an off day and he had too many brewskis or whatever. But hey, it's definitely not a good look. I definitely
right, and in the same way that somebody's angry or drunk tweets are dug up from the grave. It may not have been them in their finest moment, but it's something they put out there for someone else to see. So that's what it's about. Is it may have been several single instances, but it's single instances that now are made public.
Right.
And so that's what the fact of it is whether it was 10 emails or 1,000 emails that were in this style, they're out there. No matter the volume of them, they're out there.
Right, and there's no way he could have stayed on as Raiders head coach with all those emails that are out there, because it was like, okay,
right,
you've said this once. How many times have you said this in private about people? So that's that. I can see why he would have to resign. He probably lost the locker room with that situation. However,
right, and it's just an administrative thing that they have to do, and he knew the circumstance that he was kind of more or less stuck in.
Yeah. And he wasn't the only casualty in all this. There's also a guy named Adam Schefter who was leaked about this. That he apparently sent a story to Bruce Allen about the 2011 lockout he was going to write. He apparently called Bruce Allen the editor, as I'm guessing tongue-in-cheek, but he sent the entire article for him to review, which doesn't look good. I don't think I want a journalist having an NFL owner or president reviewing my entire article to make changes to it, which kind of seems like you're flowing out a narrative for one party and not the other, which I don't think is the job of journalists. However, Ian Rappaport, the rap sheet of NFL Network, came on the Pat McAfee show and explained that Rappaport's style of doing this is he typically has phone calls with people and sources, doesn't send them articles, and might say, hey, this is where I'm going with this article, and here's how I quoted you. do you have anything that you would like me to change, or do you think I misquoted you? And then he will listen and either change what he needs to change. Like if you misquoted someone, he'll fix the quote, which you should do as a reporter. If you misquote someone, you should correct the
Right.
quote. And then he'll listen and he may change the gist of the article, but mainly he says he leaves it the same because it's how the information came to him and how he feels about the information he's received in. So and he was
Right.
trying.
And
He was trying to defend Schefter, but he really didn't do a good job. I've listened to it like, okay, what you're doing makes sense. What Schefter did, I don't like very much. And Schefter's kind of been in the whole muck of it because of the Aaron Rodgers accumulation of information story that happened this offseason. So the journalistic integrity of Schefter has been called into question twice now in the past year, which isn't a good sign for him.
the past 6 months, really.
Yeah.
And so, honestly, this is not a good look for him. And I mean, this is Schefter has historically been, a fairly reliable and consistent source, if nothing else. But seeing something like this, it
Brings into question.
makes me wonder why. I mean, it brings into question why. Like, why has he been so consistent and so accurate on one side or of somebody's story or another? And how many instances have there been of him, attempting to send an article to essentially be edited by the team source that he is trying to reference? And again, this is 10 years ago. Maybe that's something that he did and no longer does. And, I hope for his sake that he doesn't do that anymore, because he is a valuable resource out there in the football world. But like you said, 2 instances in now the last 6 or 8 months. I forget how long it's been since the original Roger story that
6
he
months.
released. 6 months. Yeah, I thought it was fairly recent. So, but now to see something like this that happened before and how it kind of goes against journalist standards, or kind of like the moral code, or if you will, for journalism. Basically, I mean, it's good to get your resources, get your sources, get it right, get all the information right. But if you're writing the article as the information comes to you and then going back and sending the entire thing to then be edited and kind of massaged in a way that might paint a team or another in a better light, it really just doesn't look integritous.
Ethical. It might be the word you're looking for.
Ethical. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah, it's late. Words are hard, man.
Yeah, words are hard, people. We're accountants by trade, so all this talking is a little bit over our heads sometimes, and we lose words. It happens all the time, people. So yeah, Aaron Schefter was also caught in the crossfire, not as heavily as John Green, clearly, because the one is he's saying bad things about certain people. The other one's he's doing something that seems just a little bit shady for the reporter, and it's two different sides of the coin. However, the NFL has put our minds at ease, people. On Friday at 4:20 p.m., October 15th, they said the rest of the 650,000 emails from Bruce Allen's computer that he said and that they reviewed, they were perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with other 600,000 plus emails. According to the NFL, I don't know how you can say that, because I think the Pat McAfee show talked about this. You had to go through like 1,000 or so emails every 5 minutes just to get through them in about a week. It's insane, and I doubt that this is all clean in my estimation.
Yeah, it reminds me of a certain public figure. Well, it reminds me of a certain public figure who may or may not have run for office before, but I am not going to talk about anything to do with Hillary. Sorry. But I think you're right. And maybe they just had a few, several people working through these emails to do keyword searches for things that they wanted to try to find. But you're right. I mean, 600,000 in a week, that's a lot to go through. But we're not going to say it's impossible, because they very likely could have had a team going through these just as a spot check for what's still out there. Yeah. But nonetheless, good to see that the emails are clean, because, I mean, Lord knows what else could have been out there.
I put clean in quotations because the NFL's history of being factual about their own investigations is rather loose and non-existent. So the Raiders owner, Mark Davis, this was, I believe, a New York Post article, said they were talking to sources in the Raiders organization, they said that Mark Davis has said behind the scenes that he believes this was a hit job against John Gruden. Now, this is not to say that these are fake emails. These are 100% legit emails, people. This is just that he thinks it was a witch hunt, as it were, to get everyone off the NFL's back for not really doing anything to the Washington football team in terms of fines, losing draft picks, or anything about how the whole organization's been run. We also found out, I forgot to mention this in our notes, that they found a picture of topless cheerleaders on Bruce Allen's email, because there was that whole story way back in 2013 about the cheerleaders going on a pictures and doing all kinds of weird near adult entertainment type stuff in 2013 with the organization. It's weird stuff happening, so that was also there. So again, clean is a relative term of the NFL, and the things they choose to release might just be to get everyone to shut up about the story rather than to actually be factual with it. And
right. So what you're saying is, Gruden could have just, in a sense, been the sacrificial lamb for the whole situation in the way that the league did not handle Washington.
The entire organization.
So now they're trying to the entire organization, but now they are trying to sort of. It's a make-up call, as you would in a game where a ref misses one call but makes it up with a small call later. That's essentially what it kind of seems like. Not that it's unwarranted,
right?
But the timing of it and everything just seems like maybe they were looking for something, and they found enough on Gruden to make a case.
Right. To quote from the Wizards' First Rule, from Terry Goodkind, one of my favorite book series, the Sort of Truth series, as Tom knows. Wizards' First Rule is people are stupid, and they're trying to use that rule to make everyone forget about everything else that happened, and it didn't work. They're very bad at the Wizards' First Rule, essentially what happened on this one. And going back to the sacrificial lamb comment, I put in an example of this in our notes about Deflategate, and how when the league went after the Patriots, they singled out one guy. They single out Tom Brady, the quarterback. Like, he's the mastermind of this whole thing. To suspend him 4 games, and went after him hardcore. And they went to court several times. Brady won the first appeal. Won the first court case on the merits. Which means that there was no evidence he did anything. The league then won the appeal, not on the merits of the case, but on the fact the league has the ability to suspend him based on their own rules. So that's how he got reinstated in the suspension, not because he did something. But they didn't go after Bill Belichick for who knows what reason, even though he's the head coach and probably would have been the person who was in charge of all that. So it's kind of one of those things where they kind of pick and choose who they go after just to appease the public rather than doing an actual story and actual investigation to get down to the nitty-gritty and the real facts. They just try to play with the people's opinions, not necessarily the facts of the matter.
Right. And that very well could be what we are seeing here, and unfortunately for those who pay attention in the league, this is not drawing attention away from what they could have been trying to draw attention away from. So I don't think it's necessarily something that's going to go unnoticed, but it's unfortunate that. The timing of it was not more prompt with any sort of reprimanding that would have taken place against the Washington football team, and unfortunate that the first one to have anything taken against them or any effect really materially is John Gruden. I'm not saying it's undeserved or unwarranted, but unfortunate that he is the first one to have a negative effect of this whole search.
Absolutely. I mean, it's unfortunate since that he's the one paying the price in terms of the Washington football side of the story, but it's like you probably deserved it after all the things you found out. It's like at that point you're like your job.
After all the things found, yeah, I'm not saying it's not deserved. Just other folks probably should have been, other things should have been found before this.
Right.
So it's unfortunate that his stuff was brought to light first of all things.
Right.
So that's all I'm saying is
the
stuff was found, and the stuff that was found was not good, but after everything else that we have heard about throughout the Washington organization, it just other action seemingly should have been taken before this.
Probably. Probably, and we'll also point out that if you look at the other side of the news, there's the right-leaning side of the media, your New York Post, your Daily Wires, your Fox News, things of that nature. Because a lot of the news we've been giving you is like everyone's been talking about, and the left-leaning sites talking about this aspect of it, but they also don't talk about the other aspect of it where you guys do realize that Antonio Brown did call Mike Mayock a cracker while he was with the organization, which is a racist term used against white people, and yet he still has a job in the NFL. So it's kind of like they punish who they choose to punish, with the NFL not really as a real legalities point of view, which everyone's pointing out with the NFL that you have players who commit felonies and they're back in the league within a year, even though they might not have learned their lesson. So things like this happen, and it's just another pointing out that hey, you're punishing this guy but not this guy. What gives? So, which are legitimate questions,
Right.
but
And I think in general, it just what it comes down to is an inconsistency
yes, I agree.
of enforcement across the league, because what they're considering rules on one end of the spectrum, they're not enforcing across the league. And so I think that we can pick and choose, dozens of
Oh,
situations
absolutely.
where, one thing was said or done off field that in a way that, should have cost a job or been, at least been issued a suspension for an individual, if nothing else. But what it does come down to is one man is resigning because of what actually has been enforced. Um, but I mean, he can't really go home in too bad of a mood because I believe the Raiders and John Gruden are still working out
Yeah,
a settlement for the remaining 40 million on his
yeah,
contract.
yeah.
So because he resigned and it's technically under good terms then, because he wasn't fired, I do think that he still is owed part or all of that 40 million, and I believe that's what the settlement discussions are about: is what is he willing to take of that total, seeing as he did not finish out the season or the contract.
Right. So that's
So he's not going home empty-handed.
you're right. Oh, he already got $60 million from his contract. He's already made his money. So I'll summarize my thoughts on this for you guys really quickly. John Green's out. Was it the right move? Yes, because his position was now untenable because of all the emails that came out and his locker room and all that jazz. He should be out. It's not a good situation. He's probably going to be out of the league for a couple of seasons. He's going to rebuild that goodwill he had with the league and had to convince everyone that those emails are not a referendum on his character as a whole. But I don't know how he's going to be able to do that. Adam Schefter, I'm now questioning journalistic integrity more and more with him. I know contract stuff I don't question. That's usually on the money. It's the rest of the stories he leaks that I'm now questioning where the information comes from when he gives a narrative. And then the NFL and their investigation. I'm going to say that there's more in those emails, but they're protecting a lot of people in those emails by saying this was it and nothing else came out of it, because the league's history for me with investigations is very bad, and I do not trust them when they say everything else is fine in those emails. So Gruden out, right move. Adam Schefter, I'm questioning now everything outside of his contract releases, and then the NFL investigation is over by their terms, not by anyone else's terms.
Right. And I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head there. I agree with everything that you said pretty much. And um, I do agree that maybe if this ever continues, a more thorough investigation of the or review. I won't call it an investigation of Bruce Allen's 650 plus thousand plus emails. Um, could be done, because the way that they are looking to potentially nitpick certain individuals over others. You can't tell me that there's not anything they found in there that could have been taken out of context. So it's certainly something that, as their standards, the NFL standards, currently sit, there's nothing that they claim to have found. But I also don't think that this is the last time that we are going to hear about emails actually being combed through and something being found from whether it be recent time or 10 plus years ago.
Right.
This is something that will only continue, and it's not just going to be with one organization. Excuse me. But as it stands right now, Gruden's out, and the Raiders are looking for a new head coach. But sticking with the NFL, a little bit lighter topic
A
that
little
you
bit.
all enjoy a little bit more
Yeah.
than ones like that. We have our Week 7 game of the week. Yes, last week we did not have a recording, and so we did a quick pick. Thank you to
Mm.
Paul for actually reminding me Thursday night before Thursday night game that we didn't have one. I'm like, oh shoot, we should probably do that. And
Probably
so I
should, yeah.
texted you real quick, and I was like, it's got to be quick. You just pick the game and make the call. So I probably lost dearly on making you pick or allowing you to pick the
No,
game and
you
the
won.
team. But
You won easily. Ravens
who'd
kick.
you
I
pick
picked the
again?
Chargers like an idiot. I thought the Chargers might pull something off, and
I thought you picked. Oh, okay. I had that backwards.
no, no. I picked the Chargers. I thought the Chargers might win something. I said,
I thought
hey,
the Chargers.
Justin Herbert is looking good. Maybe they come out ahead. Maybe they pull off something else magical because they already beat the Chiefs. Nah, I was wrong. I was
That
wrong.
that's how quick. That's how quickly thrown together last week's game of the week was. I didn't even remember who I had.
Yeah, and I'm going through
So
the text messages right now, people. Yeah, I said I'm going with the Chargers like an idiot.
Like an idiot. All right. Well, hey, thank you for being an idiot. I so introducing the game 7 game of the week week 7 game of the week. It is only Monday, people, and I am already zonked for the week. Anyway, we are taking the Cincinnati Bengals, who are 4-2, against the Baltimore Ravens, who are 5-1. Yes, we got Ravens 2 weeks in a row, but the Bengals are averaging, which I don't even know if we can call them that anymore,
No.
are averaging 24.7 points a game on offense and allowing 18.5 points a game on defense for a total net point differential of 37 points.
Not bad.
The Ravens are averaging 28.3 points on offense and 20.5 points allowed on defense and a total net point differential of 47. So they've had some bigger games in the 5 wins that they have this year. Ravens are currently listed as are favored on the line by 6.5.
Yeah.
So um, yeah, and I know that we just took the Ravens last week, but this is one that will shape the division. Um, these are the top 2 teams, and I think that obviously if this goes, Bengals winning. Now you have
Oof.
2 teams at 5-2 at the top of the division. So this is one that could make or break the East.
Absolutely, and it's actually the North in the AFC. So
North,
I know.
sorry.
No, you're fine. They're both on the East, but it's the North because of how the AFC's built out. So yeah, your mistake is accepted because that happens all the time. Like, wait, is this the AFC North or East? Wait, it's the North because the East is all on the literal East Coast for the AFC. And let me just say this. With the Bungles, they are still the Bungles until they win a playoff game in this century, because they have yet to do so. So we're gonna stick with them being the
Fair
Bungles
enough.
until they win
Fair
a playoff
enough.
game. And this is going to be a good one. I believe we have a coin that Tom has. I will have to call on the air because I made a big boo boo thinking that the Chargers would win. They did not play great at all. So that was a boo
And
boo.
here I was kind of bummed that I thought I was going to have to
No,
make the call, and I never pick well and all that stuff. So anyway, all right. Um, what are you taking? Because
tails,
it's hard over video. It's hard to do. Call it in the air. So
tails.
tails.
Yeah.
All right, and as you know, heads,
Mhm.
tails.
Right.
So
There's that good old
man.
heads. Oh.
Heads.
Well, all right.
You're gonna think I'm making it up. You're
No,
gonna
no,
think
no,
I'm
no,
making
no,
it
no,
up.
no. I know who you're gonna pick. I'm just prepared for you picking the Ravens. Go ahead, pick the Ravens.
Well, you would be missed. No, you're right. I'm taking the Ravens.
Yeah.
After last week, they didn't fail me last week against the Chargers. They're producing highly on offense. Yeah, they allow 2 points more per game on defense, but they are really performing at a high level on offense, and their defense really still is solid.
Yeah.
And so going up against the Bengals, um, who are producing at a level that we haven't seen out of a Bengals-esque team in a while. But I don't think that they are one that's going to take advantage of the Ravens defense. The Ravens defense is solid all the way through in the way that will be able to handle the Bengals, and the Lamar Jackson led offense. It is pretty electric, honestly. And so when he's on, the deep ball isn't necessarily his strength, but he has produced and been a very dynamic element to the game. And so I'm taking Ravens in this one, and sticking with them from last week.
Well, that's a smart bet because I looked at this game and said, this may be the best game on the docket because for those of you who don't know, the Week 7 games I described times were either two meh teams playing each other, so teams that are average or not good playing each other, or one clearly good team facing one clearly bad team. So this was the best we had where we had two good teams playing each other, but I think the Ravens are clearly the better team. I've got the Bungles, so maybe Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase pull off a miracle and beat the Ravens, but I don't have my hopes up. So hopefully it's a better game than I'm anticipating because I think there is a class difference between these two teams. But maybe the Bungles shock the world, shock the nation, and beat the Ravens, but I'm not holding up too much hope for the Bungles.
I think it would take an Eric Barriere day for Joe Burrow to make it happen,
and him not being killed.
A record banner day, yes, and not getting his knees blown off.
Yeah.
So I think that. Sorry, too soon.
No, not too soon.
I think that this is.
I fear that every time he runs.
This is right, and you worry about guys that have that sort of injury early on in their NFL career. But he certainly doesn't seem to be slowed down to a detrimental point this year. So I do think this is going to be a solid matchup this week, and certainly the most significant matchup that we could find in Week 7.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Chris has the Bengals, not by choice, and I am taking the Ravens because I am both a lucky and a smart man sometimes. Sometimes. Emphasis on sometimes. Yeah. So there you have it. Game of the week.
All right, guys. As you all know, you can follow our Facebook page regarding any update regarding the show. Yes, we're on the outro. We're going out of the show because we only talked about one big thing, but that big thing took us like half an hour to cover. So let's get to this outro real quick. And you can also reach out to us on our Facebook page, like I said, or email us at sportsandmore with CT. That's capital C, capital T at gmail.com.
And as always, please like, subscribe, comment on this video. If you're on Facebook, share it with your friends. If you're on YouTube, share it with your friends on Facebook. And we're not on Twitter, but if you want to share it there and tweet out the link, go ahead. We appreciate all the exposure that we can get to this channel, going in all different directions and where the buttons are on your screen. But if nothing else, we do appreciate that you alone are listening or watching this. If you can share this with one friend, one family member, one guy that you hate at the office, just we appreciate any additional kind of exposure that we can get spread out through some different hands. This is something that we like to do. As we said before, we're not a monetized channel. We're not making anything from this. We're just two guys having fun. And one thing that I know that I'm kind of extending this outro a little bit farther than normal, but one thing that I kind of appreciated last weekend, Chris, you and I hadn't seen each other in over a year.
Yep.
In person. This has allowed us an opportunity to stay in contact more than we probably ever would have if we hadn't done this. So whether we make money from it or not, I appreciate the opportunity to do this every week, just to get to talk to my best friend.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I mean, this is just, it's those conversations we'd have late at night in the dorm when we're, complaining and moaning about the Cubs or the Bears or whoever, and all the stuff that's going on in the league, or, bantering back and forth about this, that, or the other. It's just doing that with mics in front of us. And so I appreciate it. So if you can do us a favor and share that with some folks that maybe you have that kind of relationship with, we're trying to just, be two guys, showing that you can hang out and have fun and maybe someone will listen to it. But aside from all the places on YouTube and Facebook that you can like and subscribe and share, you can go to our Anchor page, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or a host of other listening platforms to download this episode, the future episodes we make, and then all the stuff that came prior to YouTube is still out there and available for listening. And we're still looking to hit that 4-digit mark, the 1,000 play mark on our podcast sites. So if you can help us get there, that's just a milestone that we've been trying to look towards since the start. So you've got your confetti cannon ready to go, and I will get my own boomstick that I can have some fun with down at the pit. But get that bell on YouTube so you know exactly when we're coming at you.
Absolutely, and we would like to thank all of you, probably the tens and tens of people listening to our ridiculous takes and ramblings on everything about the Cubs, about the NFL standings, the Mlb playoffs, and about this whole John Gruden sticky situation, and to more lighter topics about how we enjoy talking about the sports on the internet.
Always love talking the sports on the internet, and can't wait to do it with you again, my buddy. Our next episode's creation date is to be decided. We will try to post out on Facebook when we do know when that is happening. Typically, it is just a few hours before. But until then, as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and above all, stay free.
Sports and More with Chris and Tom is brought to you by no one. All non-original thoughts and ideas were properly noted during each segment.